trying to put money in your pocket. That crypto wallet, that bing bada bing ching ching big profit. Even when the market's sideways.
I'm about to drop some hugely powerful alpha. And that's what they call it. They call it alpha, believe me. Okay? And not many people know this, but alpha means that I know big things, strong things, powerful things. So here's the alpha, folks. If you want to be hugely rich like me, you got to join and subscribe to the BLEEVESCRYPTO YouTube channel. You got to become a member because many people say, quite frankly, it's the strongest YouTube channel out there. It's fantastic. It's the best. So let me know what you think, folks. Funny Donald Duck.
I'm looking for ways to get paid. I'm checking my coins around breakfast, then again around bedtime. Bet this. It's not financial advice, but I'm always right. 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 Lady, and I got my shine. Money in my pocket and we're feeling fine. Radio's loud and we're playing Sublime. I think it's gonna be a good day, my oh my. I can't believe I made it this far, it's a miracle. Floating in the clouds now, used to be miserable. Never looking back since I changed my ways. I'm on that good life tip today. I'm looking for the good life, good life. Sitting on top of the world, I wanna be shining like diamonds and pearls. I want you to go there with me, girl. I'm looking for the good life, good life. Baby, we can have it all. We can make love by the waterfalls. I'm living that good life after all. Yeah. La da da da, good life, sitting by the fire. La da day, good life, feeling that breeze.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. I hope that you are having at least an interesting Saturday right now, trying to figure out what kind of shit is going on in this crazy crypto market. Well, you are probably witnessing a whole bunch of things that are about to happen all at once, and we're going to talk about those real quick because this is getting interesting. We're going to look at the charts. We're going to do most of the stuff that we normally do, but we really got to talk. Last night, the FDIC met. Maxine Waters came out of her coffin and called the rest of the ghouls in, and they started talking about what are we going to do about SVB, and they agreed that there will be no federal bailout. Now, if there is not a federal bailout, then they are probably going to have to sacrifice Jerome Powell to the tiki gods in a volcano somewhere, because otherwise they are about to collapse the entire banking system, except for all the bigs, which is exactly how you don't want to see things going, but that's what we're probably going to get. Now, if you remember, and you're in America, you should know by now that everybody is bought and paid for by these big banks, by these big businesses, and this number 20 ranked commercial institution had a run on it. Now, here's what here's the tapestry probably of what we're about to see over the next 2 days. I want to say there's an emergency Fed meeting, FDIC meeting on the 13th that's going to happen, and they're going to try to figure out what is the next step. But this is the list of what really needs to happen at this point. Number one, they're going to have to do a pause on Fed rates because these Fed rates are destroying the banks. Number two, they're going to have to find somebody who's a buyer of SVB to kind of bail out some of the situations. Now, the first situation is Circle for crypto, that is. Thank you for the $10 bomb, Mr. Cryptocurrency in the house. The man that first brought us the next generation network. The project has an amazing community and a team that's delivering since day one. Do your own research as the man that brought it to us always right. By the way, it's trading at $1.05 today. So for those of you keeping track of me, I'm up 52x on NGN at this point. So, but the important thing is Circle. So here's the deal with Circle. Circle is going to get their money back on Monday. Now, If you're wondering why is Circle getting special treatment and special consideration, especially because they're crypto and really not something that the government would take care of, they're not. They initiated a transaction on Thursday, bank wire transfer to transfer all of their money out before anything happened. And that transaction was not acknowledged and completed by SVB when it should have been done. So on Monday morning, it's being said, and they are being reassured, Circle is, by the California FDIC, that they will be getting all of their money made whole. So Circle is no longer an issue, and the collapse of USDC, while greatly exaggerated, is no longer an issue. Now, if not, then the expected payout for most people right now is on Monday. They're going to be able to withdraw 50%, around 50% of their holdings in SVB, and that they will be able to pull out the remaining portions over the next 3 to 6 months, because again, this bank is not insolvent, but there was a big run on it. Now, what's going to happen Monday? Because of this emergency Fed meeting, because of these emergency problems, everybody's looking around, and they are going to start pulling their money out of banks. One of the big things that you saw from Circle is that Circle moved $5.7 billion into Mellon Bank, I think, in the last couple of hours. And they're going with the even bigger banks. And, a lot of people have conspiracies. Is this about cryptocurrency? Nope. There's nothing to do with cryptocurrency. This has to do with the Fed. The Fed has screwed everything up with their rate hikes in terms of banking. They reacted too slowly to the inflation that was coming, that they knew was coming because of COVID, and they've been behind the 8 ball since the beginning. The biggest problem, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but the biggest problem is they didn't hike rates up high enough, fast enough, so that perhaps prices would have collapsed and come down 2 months ago, when it seems more realistic that we were at the beginning of the year. We have a nice little reset. The rate hikes of 50 basis points, maybe they should have been 75 and continued at 75. So, there's a lot to take in right here. They should have done a lot more, a lot sooner. And now, because they were looking for what we were calling a soft landing, we're not getting that soft landing. We're getting an even harder crash than what we're anticipating. So that leaves us in this weird sort of place. So let's look at a few of the articles and what's going on here. U.S. lawmakers met with the Fed, FDIC, to discuss the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. U.S. lawmakers met with the Federal Reserve and FDIC on Friday to discuss the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. Maxine Waters held briefings with officials from the 2 federal bank regulators, as well as the Treasury Department, late in the day, hours after the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation took over the bank and turned it over to the FDIC. Lawmakers from both major political parties were present at the meeting with regulators. A person familiar told CoinDesk. A number of lawmakers expressed concern after the SVB collapse early Friday, including Waters. I am alarmed by the failure of Silicon Valley Bank, which marks the second largest bank failure in history. I'm closely monitoring and convening committee members with the regulators so myself and members can understand the latest around the closure of SVB by the California Department of Financial Protection, DFPI, and the FDIC. I appreciate the DFPI and the FDIC for taking decisive action, remain confident in America's financial markets and the ability of our regulators to protect consumers and investors. Several California lawmakers tweeted that they were following the situation. One key concern is whether depositors would receive any portion of their funds beyond the $250,000 limit. So now it's all being looked at right now, trying to be figured out. And Swalwell says we must make sure all deposits exceeding the $250K limit are honored. Banking is about confidence. If depositors lose confidence in the safety of their deposits over $250K, then we are in trouble. And that right there should say it all. That $250,000 FDIC insurance policy is probably not enough in this market anymore. So they're going to have to address that at some point, but they can't at this moment because they haven't already. And here we are. So Ro Khanna, whose district includes SVB, tweeted that he spoke with the White House and Treasury about the bank. And we come over here. And Rokahana says, this morning I reached out to both the White House and Treasury Department to discuss the situation with SVB. I emphasize the importance of doing whatever is legally permissible and appropriate to support the bank, which is central to the startup and tech economy. Made it clear that no matter what, what matters is not the bank executives or investors. It's fine for them to lose their value, but protecting regular workers and their paychecks, we can do this without it costing taxpayers a dime. So I don't know what the plan is, but that's where the government was at that point. Now, CNBC, Farr Miller, and Washington's Michael Farr have come out saying, given the data, the Fed should pause and revisit hikes later. Now, does that make a whole lot of sense? Well, based on where we are and what's been going on so far, I mean, you have to at some point kind of look and say, okay, so we're hiking rates, we're preventing banks from loaning out money without paying a significant interest rates, which is slowing down their business, which is stopping people from investing in banks, which is creating this run on the banks. And then when someone sneezes in the wrong direction, you start a run on the bank where you're pulling the deposits out. And then the next thing you know, you don't have a bank anymore. So, and a lot of that has to do with those Fed rate interest hikes because the banks are not able to lend money like they should be lending money. So it's just getting a little bit crazy how this is all playing out. Now, Jeremy Allaire from Circle has given an update on USDC and Silicon Valley Bank. And he says, while USDC can be used 24/7, 365 on-chain, issuance and redemption is constrained by the working hours of the U.S. banking system. USDC liquidity operations will resume as normal when the banks open on Monday morning in the United States. As a practical matter, our teams are well prepared to handle significant volume built on the strong liquidity and reserve assets discussed below. As a regulated payment token, USDC will remain redeemable 1-for-1 with the US dollar. Now, so we'll get into he didn't number these because, I mean, I guess he's an asshole. But he gives this. The remaining, Jesus Christ, where did this guy? Oh my God, where did this guy learn how to tweet? Jesus Christ, it's a disaster. All right. What do we expect with SVB and the FDIC? We have reason to believe that under applicable FDIC policy, transfers initiated prior to a bank entering receivership would have otherwise been processed normally. In other words, the FDIC should allow transactions to settle in the ordinary course through the end of a bank's standard daily processing cycle until the FDIC takes control of the failed institution. We understand that the FDIC is currently determining the status of transactions initiated prior to the applicable receivership cutoff times, and it is possible that the transfers initiated on Thursday will be processed on Monday. Moreover, SVB has a strong franchise that is the center of American entrepreneurship and technology industry growth. We are hoping that the FDIC will as receiver will seek a rapid purchase and assumption of a franchise as strong as SVB to ensure all depositors are made whole. However, it is also possible that SVB may not return 100% and that any return might take some time as the FDIC issues IOUs and advanced dividends to deposit holders. In such a case, Circle, as required by law under stored value money transmission regulation, will stand behind USDC and cover any shortfall using corporate resources involving external capital if necessary. So no matter what, they expect to make everything fine. Now, the remaining 23%, 9.7 billion is in cash. I don't know where this fucking guy is. Jesus Christ. All right, so here we go. Silicon Valley Bank, a venerable and trusted partner of the U.S. innovation economy, has suffered a classic bank run, much like those we saw during the financial crisis of 2008. SVB suffered significant losses, which led to a situation where they were forced to sell long-duration assets to meet redemption demand. So what they had was a lot of bonds that they had bought for 4 or 5% interest, whatever the interest rate is on these long-term bonds. They had to and were forced to sell because people were taking their money out of the bank. So the settlement period on these assets caused a short-term liquidity crunch, leading to the FDIC stepping in to administer the bank yesterday. Now, that just means that too many people were cashing out and they didn't have enough cash on hand in order to handle what was going on. So that created the bank run. The impact on the reserves here says USDC is 100% collateralized with a combination of cash and treasuries. Specifically, USDC is currently collateralized 77%, 32 billion with the US Treasury bills, and 23% with cash held at a variety of institutions, of which SVB is only one. U.S. Treasury bills are the most liquid asset in the world and are direct obligations of the U.S. government. These reserves are held in custody by BNY Mellon and active liquidity, and asset management is managed under BlackRock. Okay. Mellon and BlackRock are not going to let Circle fail, by the way. Too long, didn't read. Anyone can view the entire liquidity ladder down to the serial number on T-bills via the USDXX ticker. The remaining 23%, 9.7 billion cash. Last week, we took action to reduce bank risk, deposited 5.4 billion with BNY Mellon, one of the largest and most stable financial institutions in the world, known for the strength of their balance sheet. And as a custodian, 3.3 billion of USDC's cash reserve remain with SVB. As of Thursday, we had initiated transfers of these funds to other banking partners. Though these transfers have not been settled as of close of business Friday, we remain confident in the FDIC's management of the situation. 1 billion of the USDC reserves is held by Customers Bank as the industry looks to expand their transaction settlement options, and Circle maintains transaction settlement accounts for USDC with Signature Bank. Both are important banks to the digital asset industry. USDC has zero exposure to Silvergate. We had transferred out what were limited reserves to support transactions prior to the bank closure. So you have all of it kind of playing itself out, and nice. So that's what's going on right now. So you have a lot of and you got a lot of nervous people that are just wondering, what's happening here. Now, here's where we got to talk about it, because I told you the other day, and it's probably a little disingenuous. I told you that Democrats have not been your friend for a long time. Republicans are the ones that are probably more likely to look out for you when it comes to cryptocurrency at this point. But let me also say that when you see something, you have to say something, right? And this, let's just call her Duncanstein super genius, reposts what Donald Trump says. With what is happening to our economy and with the proposals being made on the largest and dumbest tax increase in the history of the USA times 5, Jesus Christ, this guy's, God damn it. Joe Biden will go down as the Herbert Hoover of the modern age, and he can't spell modern, which is frightening. We will have a Great Depression far bigger and more powerful than that of 1929 as proof. The banks are already starting to collapse. Now, let me point this out here because a lot of us are rather supportive, right? The banks are already starting to collapse. Well, yeah, I wonder why they're starting to collapse. Well, here's 2018. Trump signs the biggest rollback of bank rules since the financial crisis. So if you're wondering why all of this deregulation and why the potential of all of this happened, it's because in 2018, the Republicans who were in charge deregulated the banks and led to a lessening in the restrictions and regulations allowing for these type of things to happen. So when I say that if you're looking at cryptocurrency, that a Republican, because libertarians right now are generally siding with the Republican Party, are your best option, then I do mean that. Now, if you have a Democrat who's representing cryptocurrency in a good way, then I would go with them. Go with them if that's what you want to do as well. But let's also remember that all of the complaints and stuff like that. Everything is. I mean, you got to remember something here. You can't really rely on Donald Trump to tell you anything other than just what he thinks, just riffing. But his administration put the banks in this situation so that this type of shit could happen. So hold them accountable, just like you would hold any Democrat accountable for not supporting you and doing that Pocahontas, Jocahontas, Liz Warren stupidity. So, just remember those things, because it's just a little bit crazy out here, and I don't want to see anybody get wrecked. But now let's talk about where are we and what is about to happen here. So I do think that this little recovery that we're starting to see, you can see here that we did break through here, but we're bouncing off of it. Now, this is a chart that's with USDT, and people are nervous. The one with USD is just fine. Like, you're seeing a huge gap right now in the difference in Bitcoin charts. And by the way, if you start looking around at all of them, like, for example, the Bitcoin USDT pairing is down 0.5% today. Bitcoin USD pairing is up 0.17% today. And it's a weird sort of thing right now, where until Monday, until we get everybody settled up, until everybody's feeling whole or feeling having been made whole because of crypto.com. And by the way, not crypto.com, but because of Circle, I think it's important to point out here, Tether is trading at $1 right now. USDC is at 96 cents. BUSD is at $1. DOT is at 96. So when you start looking down at some of these stable coins, and you will notice that there is a run on multiple stable coins. It's not just USDC at this point. There are several of these that are starting to buckle a little bit under the pressures of being manipulated and moved around as they go. One of them down here is at 97 or 98. That's PAX USD, and then I think it's USDD. There's a lot of them that are out here struggling at this moment because of all the craziness that's going on in these markets. So we're experiencing it everywhere. Should you be concerned? You should always be concerned when there's runs that are happening like this. Should always be concerned when the federal government has to meet and start to come up with drastic moves in order to fix and or satisfy some of the problems that are being created by the other part of the government making these decisions. And these decisions have not played out to the best advantage. Jerome Powell is waking up this morning realizing that, he can't go back and he can't fix all of his screw ups, but he is going to have to account for them at some point. So let's hope for the best, and let's think that the best is going to happen. But as it is right now, well, we look at Bitcoin and we can see here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. We're going to get to a day chart, and you can see that we did create this little channel here to say that this is the area that we think we're going to run in, and we've had a green MACD. We've had money inflows continuing to pour in over the last little while, right? And in fact, up until we were just talking about this a moment ago, we were actually in the green. But you can see right here, there's a bunch of capital being pulled out of the market in this last little short period of time, and being thrown back in. By the way, there's a lot of volatility as we sit right now. So back to this on Bitcoin on the 1 hour chart. We're looking at this sort of play right now. Now, here's the interesting part, right? If you take it like this and you take it like this, then you are getting a classic wedge pattern. And it's lining up, by the way, if you look right here, you got a couple hours left, and I'm not doing this perfectly right. I'm not on all of the wicks. I'm not playing this out perfectly as it is right now, but there's a few hours left, right? And in those few hours, it's going to take us into Monday, right? And we're going to find out what's going to happen. So which way does crypto go becomes the scenario. If this fall down is indicative of a bear flag, then we should be headed down further, right? Because that's the way it's playing out. However, this wedge generally breaks to the upside. So it's going to be interesting to see what really happens. Now, no matter what happens, the market sentiment is for crypto to go up. Okay, that doesn't mean that it will. It just means that the market sentiment is for it to go up, and that's why you're seeing higher lows as we move on, and you're seeing a top right here, basically at 21,000, 20,800, just preventing us from going up anymore. So when you're witnessing that, then you're looking at a market that wants to send, but we're going to see if they can break through the resistance and get there, and that's going to take good news. And I mean, I don't know that we have it now. If you also look at things a little differently, you can see right here. Let's again put this here. But now let's say that this is the most likely pattern that's playing out and that this is an aberration. Well, if that's the case, then you've got an ascending pennant, which means that we're going to break to the downside most probably. So we're going to see what's going to happen. It's just what you kind of believe at this point right now. And yeah, whatever you do the opposite of what Jim fucking Cramer says, because Jesus Christ, he is a disaster. Jesus Christ. Like, how can you not get anything right? Like, how can you not get anything right? Somebody should set up an ETF and call it the anti-Cramer fund. And whatever he says, do the opposite. And then whatever he does, set up a fund for that, put 1,000 in each one of them, see what happens, and see which one does better. Like, and just do the absolute opposite every time he recommends something, and just see how it plays out, because some of the shit is just ridiculous. But anyway, so we're going to choose the BTC USD, but that's not going to be the ultimate one, by the way. So we'll see how it plays out. You're looking over here, by the way. MACD is crossing over, and we're getting the money flow starting to come to the outward, to the out. So most probably we're looking at some downside today. We're probably going to at least test 20,000 over the course of today. Now, over on Ethereum, the rally has been a lot bigger on Ethereum than it has been on Bitcoin at this point. So you certainly would feel happy if you got in down here at this level with Ethereum at this point. And it's doing kind of the same thing. I mean, you can make an argument that it's doing that same kind of pattern. So we can probably expect a pretty clear breakout at some point of all of this. So I think that it's going to be the market's going to be interesting on Monday. I do expect, by the way, that when we start to see pre-markets, we're going to see an absolute collapse on the Dow Jones. Looking over here, this is the long trending. This is our trend line right here, and you can see that like we hit this trend line again. We haven't bounced back in or out. We're still just kind of on this, but I got a feeling that we're going back down and in over the next little while. So this is not gonna. It's most probably not gonna play out very well. So we're gonna see an interesting and maybe some dark times coming. But maybe the U.S. market kind of gets together and we talk Fed rate pause. Look, if we do that, if you start to see, some of the just back off the gas a little bit and give the market time to breathe and give banks a chance to not experience a little more pain, to go along with a little more pain, maybe some of them can right their own ships and, maybe everything plays out fine. We don't know, and we won't know until Monday, and it's going to be interesting. But if you didn't already, hope you got out of Bone, because you're witnessing that Bone collapse again. So if you got in way down here and you made out like a bandit, kudos to you. Again, the other day we got in here a little bit low. I wrote it up. I sold at like $1.70 something. Ended up making 1.17 ETH off of the deal. And then it's been collapsing ever since. So it was a good time to get out. Definitely ended up being the best play. Now, my best play actually would have been right up here. If you could see, I could have held a little bit longer and got about 0.5 more ETH if I just held it a little bit longer. But I had made what I wanted to make. Well, I didn't because I wanted to go to ETH, and I just felt like there was not that, like it wasn't going to happen. So I bailed out on it, missed a little bit at the top, but still happy with the return. Now, in the meantime, SHIB is not being supported at any level. The only thing that we have right now is that SHIB is fighting at the 1,000 level, and we might see maybe a bounce come off of it. But I think people are, right here. This is where the little fight is. I don't know what SHIB does next. They've released Shibarium. Their product is out there now. It's in the wild. Something should be happening now. At best, you can look at your MACD over here, and you can see, well, the MACD is now running in the pink, which is a fair enough sign that maybe a reversal has started, but it's just kind of holding itself down here. Matter of fact, this was the little channel that we had. Let's lock that and go with that for just a little while. But so we'll see how this plays out over the next little while. Here's the thing, by the way. I know a lot of people have been going out of their minds right now to kind of shit on SHIB and say everything is done, everything is blah, 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 blah. But, the reality is, if you're in Bitcoin, if you were an early adopter of Bitcoin, if you were, there's a thing about the public lexicon, and SHIB is big in it. And when the market changes, retail is going to make a move, right? When retail makes that move, where are they going to go? They're going to go to SHIB. So a SHIB is not done by any stretch of the imagination. The question now is, a lot of people are doing some calculation about how much burn is Shibarium going to produce, how much SHIB is going to be burned. That becomes the question right now. I mean, here, the basic premise here is, if there's a lot of transactions and you can burn over time, over a reasonable amount of time, 50% of the SHIB, then the price of the remaining supply doubles, right? Because the market cap is based on the number of tokens and it's divided, right? So the more you can burn, the higher the price action pushes. If you can get down, then you're in a much better place. So that's kind of what a lot of people are looking at right now. We really don't know. We don't know the technology of that burn process. We haven't seen it really manifest itself and play itself out in a $1 billion in a $1 billion environment. So we'll see how this all kind of plays out. Now, they say Shibarium beta will be out for months. Well, of course it will be. I mean, but we're all playing. I mean, most of the games that we play are still betas. It's not like we've got released games and stuff like that. As long as you're doing transactions on it. Thank you for the $20 bomb, Scott Bell. Where's Ryoshi? He's being sued over FTX. Remember? So you're going to have these moments where we're going to really get a good calculation of the burn, right? Once we get a calculation of the burn, then you're going to start seeing a lot of big money entering SHIB, because it's no longer. And by the way, if you just consider blockchains as they are right now, Uniswap and the whole Ethereum environment might kind of go by the wayside very quickly. And we're going to stop with that David shit right there. God damn. But Shibarium has one token coming out soon. It's going to be called Chomp, right? And it's going to be their first meme token on the Shibarium network. Now, what do you think is going to happen to the first dog-based meme token on the Shibarium network? It's going to go absolutely out of its mind crazy. So I would say that there's a lot of enthusiasm. Now, if Chomp goes well and you find some diamond-handed holders in Shibarium and you really get some positive vibe out of it, then that loads the way for a lot more meme coins to start launching. When that happens, you're creating value on that blockchain almost right away. And because it's, again, in the public lexicon and SHIB is such a big deal, if you can just get people on Shibarium trading meme coins, stuff like that, then the everything changes for SHIB in a heartbeat. And I'm betting for it to happen. So we'll see how it all plays out. So I don't know. Why is gas fee so high on VoltaChange compared to Uniswap? Well, they're not normally. Sometimes there's network transactions or network problems. POI, if you rewind this, I did everything about the bank event at the beginning of it. So we've already covered that in depth and in detail. So if you want to know anything about it, just hit the reverse here and go check it out. MX up 3.7% on the day. Crow down just a little bit on the day, but having a bounce. Everything's kind of just in that weird place. Now, you might be asking yourself, by the way, Hex going out of its mind still. And you might be asking yourself, well, what's the next step? And we're not going to know the next step because we still have CPI data. We still have the FOMC meeting. We still have a number of different issues to deal with over the next couple of days. So it's going to be very difficult for the markets to make any kind of big moves, right? It's going to be very difficult for anything to happen. So we're just going to, the best we can do at this point is just kind of hold on for dear life and hope for the best. So let's look over here, though, at Saitama trading at 17.23 right now, having a nice little pump. NGN was trading at $1.05 until it looks like 3DDT decided he had enough of whatever he was doing. So it went from $1.05 down to 84 cents now. So we're back down to 42x. So damn it. But by the way, just so you guys know that the NGN people did meet with Tom Emmer, his staff on Friday, and there might be something good that comes out of that. It's an interesting concept and an interesting idea to have a cryptocurrency get an opportunity to be a representative, especially a startup, to be a representative that gets to that gets to be on a platform or table or anything with somebody from the House of Representatives. I do think that ends pretty well for all parties involved because it lets a startup have a voice in maybe future discussions about what kind of regulations are best for crypto. And it seems like a great opportunity if it pans out. If you can't do much, but what you can do, you should do, especially for someone who is as supportive as they are, Tom Emmer, of cryptocurrency. So interesting times for NGN. Hex trading at 7.7 cents. Guys, if you got in down here, not even down here, if you got in way over here, when I said get in way over here, God damn it, man, you made out like a bandit on this one. You're up about 4x at this point. So congratulations on that. Cato at 1228, MMAI 3165, Lillian 5800, Terra 2476. It is driving people crazy. Every time Terra starts moving up just a little bit, it's just pissing some degens off. $334,000 in trading volume, by the way, in the last 24 hours. BRL at up to a $1.23 level. WAGMI at 46.84. WAGMI kind of idle again, but just above. I think maybe we've added just enough holders. You can see right here that we've used this little channel before as support, and it seems to be still moving in an upward fashion. So I think long-term, we might be in a pretty good position on WAGMI. At any point, that launch is going to go through, and this game gets unleashed on the masses, and I do hope that means a big move. Floki has had multiple runs to kick itself back up. This 2,600 ran it all the way back up to 3,900, which was almost a 50% run. But now we're moving sideways off of that. Now, when these things happen, and you go back and look at the history of Floki, that generally means that there's some more downside coming when you see this type of activity going all the way back into here. So I would expect that we're probably about to witness some lower lows out of Floki in short order. Hopefully, we get a bounce off of this 24 level at some point, but and that's just until the next big news. Like if the next big news is something awesome, then Floki will be all the way back up here again because Floki runs hot every single time. Also, you have 2 days left to transfer your tokens over for BET. SHIB, we already talked about. Volt at 1718 right now, up on the day, but just barely. You can see right here, had a nice little run, and then it's just been kind of idle right now as people are digesting the markets, et cetera, and the nervous sentiment around everything. We'll see how it goes over the next little while. Decanect at 5.4 cents, Bone down to $1.47, and Wiz at 24.01. All right, guys, that kind of wraps it up here. I think you guys know what you need to know for the day. We're going to wait and see how the markets play out. We're not going to really know anything until tomorrow when we see what the FDIC does have another emergency meeting. I'm pretty sure that Jerome Powell is sitting on his bed, sucking his thumb right now, thinking, "Oh God, what did I do? Like Jesus Christ!" So there's gonna be a run. There's gonna be a run on Monday, and we're gonna see a lot of banks lose a lot of money very, very quickly. And until we really see this whole thing play out, we're not gonna know what happens. Now, also, when I say that, the money's going to end up in some of these bigger banks, and when it does, it's going to be the worst possible outcome because the more the more small banks disappear, the more only big banks are left. So this doesn't end positively for anybody, unless you're shorting. And if so, then you probably already made your money off of the tanking of the market overnight. So it looks like that's where we are. It looks like that's what's going on. So just be very careful in what you're doing today. Be careful. Don't enter any. Look, if you're doing any kind of leverage trading, be very, very careful with an idea that things are probably going down. But here's the other part. Kathy Wood, I think, moved her money around over the last couple of days, and she is super bullish for tomorrow, thinking that we're going to see the start of some kind of big rally in all the markets, which doesn't make any sense to me. But that's the thing. The one thing that you have to learn about these markets is these markets don't do what you predict it's going to do. If I put out a poll right now and I said, "Do you think the market's going down or up on Monday?" Everybody says that it's going down, right? But we're not asking about Monday night. We're not asking about Tuesday. So you know what? It might go down, and as soon as it goes down, you might just start seeing a massive rally for almost no reason at all. The one place that you're not going to see a huge pump is probably crypto, because I think equities are scared right now, and you're not going to see any of the big money entering crypto, most probably until you see some regulation, because there was just too much volatility the last time. So as we get closer to regulation, as we get closer to all these things, maybe we'll start to see some move. But in the meantime, we still pump to 30,000. Just consider that, we still have the capacity to have another run to 25. We still have the capacity for Ethereum to run to 16 or 17. By the way, if Ethereum is becoming quite deflationary at this point and burning a lot of Ethereum that it was not burning before, if we were to consider where we were last time, which is 47.84, with the remaining Ethereum, we would probably be sitting closer to 5,000 right now. So Ethereum is going about it certainly the right way overall. So I mean, we'll see what's happening. There's no such thing as there's no new Ethereums or any of that kind of shit. Like I don't play those. I don't do new Ethereum. I don't do new Bitcoin. I don't do old Ethereum or old Bitcoin or any of that. It's no. Well, so the Great Reset is something that was talked about at Davos recently about everybody just kind of wiping out debt for everybody and just kind of resetting the global economy, and everybody just kind of start from square one, so to speak. That was just an idea that some radical out there had about how they could maybe fix all of the markets because of COVID. And since then, it's turned into a right-wing conspiracy theory because, you know, a lot of money that goes to these meetings are, you know, they're kind of, they do think they're eating babies and drinking blood and just crazy shit, right? So you've got all of that, and then you've got the people that are kind of in the middle who are like, they're listening, you know, they're not like, you're not dismissing all of the crazy, you're dismissing some of the crazy shit, but some of that, you know, look, there's plenty of conspiracies that we think are just ridiculous that end up becoming a little bit true, because it makes perfect sense to think that there might have been a lab leak in 2020 that caused this massive outbreak, because at the same place they were doing gain of function research, but you weren't allowed to talk about it. So you know, there's weird places here where, you know, things might be true. And so, you know, there might be an idea on that Great Reset that the people there don't have the best intentions of me and you. They have the best intentions of the big banks and the big world economies. And they don't always they're not looking after us. They're looking after them, right? Cryptocurrency that's us looking after ourselves. That's us getting away from that globalist kind of stuff. So we focus on crypto, let them focus on any of the other crazy shit that they want. And let's just make some money on crypto so that when all that shit goes down, whatever goes down, doesn't affect us at all. Anyway, it's not financial advice. My name is Bleeves. I'm always right. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you, each and every one of you. But now it's time to have a Sunday.
I'm looking for the good life, good life. Sitting on top of the world, I wanna be shining like diamonds and pearls. I want you to go there with me, girl.